Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the HomeBuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820. And we got our phone number up there. We're recording on Wednesday morning, and our phone number is 773-594-8781. Again, that's 773-594-8781. If you're watching on our live stream, you're able to see that phone number, and we want people to call in today. We're going to talk about, we got all three of our experts here. We do not have an agent with us this week. And we're going to talk about complaints that we get after somebody moves into the home. So with me, I have, again, our attorney, Patrick Loftus. Patrick, please give us a little introduction to yourself.
Good morning. I am Patrick Loftus. I'm known on TikTok as having certain issues with parts of my body, which something we talked about just before we went on air. And you can see the look on Charlie's face is the look that says, I wish you would not talk about that. So
you talk about your butt all you want.
Hey, jeez, why, I thought we were friends, Charlie. Yeah, man, where do I go from there? Find me on social media to
I'm a
talk
professional
about anything but that. Anything but why?
Pun intended. That's good. I'll get you off the hook.
Why did I do this? My Instagram handle is Loftus_law. Loftus is spelled L-O-F like Frank, T like Tom, U-S like Sam. Find me on TikTok and find out more about me at Loftus Law.
And Joey, can you give us a rundown on your business and how do people get hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're watching on the internet, ignore my information on there. My name is Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd, NMLS 1330694. I work at Neighborhood Loans. So if you see the Federal Savings Bank, ignore that. I do not work at the Federal Savings Bank. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. Find me at thevaloannerd.com or across all social media as at the VA Loan Nerd.
And that's what we do have up on the screen. Thank you, Joey. And again, my name is Charlie Bellefontaine with Chicagoland Home Inspectors, one of the highest rated home inspection companies in the city of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. And our phone number is 312-544-9180. So I had a little bit of a busy week going on, and we did get a complaint call that came in here. And as lovely family, but the call that came in was a little bit what I consider on the dramatic side. And they ended up leaving a voicemail, and I was a little busy, so I didn't answer the phone right away. But it went something like this. We just moved in 2 weeks ago. We bought the house about 3 months ago. And we moved in 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden we started noticing a gas smell every time that it turned on. We contacted the warranty company, and they said it was a pre-existing condition. And then I turned it on again, and this thing exploded in my face. And yeah, Patrick giggled a little bit. I mean, nobody got hurt. She did clarify that.
Oh, Lord.
But once you read this exploding in the face, then it's like, okay, we're being a little bit on the dramatic side. What really happened here, to find out. So the first thing I did was get over there and find out what's going on, see with my own eyes, take some pictures, get some documentation of everything. And sure enough, it was leaking. Put the gas sniffer in there. I had a little bit of a coat, so I didn't smell anything, but it was leaking. And the gas detector sniffed it. I said, and this thing was like about a 26-year-old stove, and it was a cheap one. I'm not trying to be degrading to someone else. It was, in today's market, about a $500 stove.
No, and 20 years old. I mean, you can get a new stove for what, $700-800?
Well,
so I mean, if
if it was new today, it was $500 for a new today stove. For that type of model is what I'm talking about.
Ooh, I need to talk to you about a $500 stove because I'm in the market.
Okay, it's like I could pull up the link on good old Home Depot.
Home Depot.
So we talked, and I mean, we could probably get it fixed for about $250. And I'm hemming and hawing and stuff like that. And finally, I told him that, I tell you what, how about we just, we'll kick in up to $500 for a new stove, and you could go ahead and get it. Now, I guess I don't claim guilt. I mean, we did not smell gas. We do use gas sniffers. The meter did not go off. But one thing that our company does do is we guarantee our work. All right. We don't care what the reasoning is. If something breaks, whether it's because we didn't tell them or because it broke afterwards, and it's only for 90 days, so it's not lifelong. All right. And this was 1 day past the 90 days. I can't do that either. The 1 day I'm going to, no, we're going to still honor this. It's just way too close.
You're so nice.
Well, it's the right thing to do. The right thing. You do it at the right time, at the right reason. Well, tell me why I'm wrong on something like that or what, because I don't think anybody else does anything like that.
No, I mean, look, I think for your purpose specifically, it works because you're basically what you're paying is to maintain a strong reputation. Right?
Very much so. That you hit it on the head.
Yeah. So from that perspective, it's you're kind of playing a little bit more of a 4D chess situation where it's like I could sit here and be like, look, we would have detected this if this condition existed at the time of the inspection. We did everything that we could do to detect it. It didn't come up for whatever reason, and so I think many people are under the impression that if something happens soon after closing, it must have been something that could have been discovered before. It must have been pre-existing because there's no way I'm so unlucky that this thing could have happened so soon after closing. But the fact is that the law of averages suggests that every once in a while, you're going to have a perfectly fine working air conditioner. You're going to buy the place. You're going to move in. 2 weeks later, that thing is going to fail. And was it because the seller obviously knew that the AC was going to fail that just right around the corner, and that's why they sold precisely at that moment? Nobody is that clever. I shouldn't say nobody, but most sellers, most sellers on an arm's length transaction are not. They're not savvy enough to go. Yeah, that thing's got 2 weeks left. Let's close.
An arm's length transaction.
Well, listen, when you want to talk lawyer, but no, I mean it can happen, and it sounds to me like this is a situation where, for whatever reason, and let's not forget, if you bought the house 3 months ago, let it sit for 2.5 months, you really won't be able to know what happened. And when stuff sits, I mean, believe it or not, your house is meant to be lived in. And
even if somebody was living in there, something can still go wrong between time A and time B.
That's true. That's I think more or less the point that I'm that I just made, and so we agree. But moreover, I think to your I think credit is that when you leave a house vacant sitting for 10 weeks, that's not good for the house.
No.
And so that's they probably bear some responsibility for for that piece of it, for letting it sit vacant for that period of time. But at the risk of repeating myself, it's worth it. That $500 to maintain a strong reputation, worth every penny.
Yeah, I focus that as a marketing expense is what it is. And, one thing in the fire service they really stress is do the right thing at the right time. You do it for the right reason, and you do it the right way. All right? And I get it that not everything is my fault. I also get it that most home inspectors have a very bad reputation. All right? We're seen as a lot of people want to, don't find anything wrong because you don't want to make a real estate agent upset because you killed their deal because you found something wrong with this, so you got to just only do a couple things. There's people that actually believe that. I had a phone call with another home inspector who was telling me, because we're going to be putting on a class for advanced electricity, and my old business partner from the schools, Corey, he's going to be teaching this thing, really smart guy, and he writes me a letter. He goes, well, why are you going to be teaching us something that we're not allowed to do? And I'm like, whoa.
What does that mean?
Exactly. He goes, well, I was taught this, this, and this, and we're not allowed to do anything more than that. I'm like, that is farthest from the truth. We have a minimum that we have to do, and they explicitly say in our law there is no maximum of what we can do. And I really want to, and this sounds so cliche, and Joey, please just smack me upside the head or something.
I would never.
But this sounds so cliche because I want to be the best. Is that so bad? I want to have the best company. I want to have the best reputation. I want to find out where our weaknesses are, and I want to fix it. And then when things do go wrong, and I'm not going to say we make a lot of mistakes because we don't, all right? But we do make mistakes, all right? I don't want my client to suffer for that mistake. And then even when we don't make a mistake, but my client thinks we did, I don't want them to think bad of me.
Yeah.
And a small amount like that would work. And that's why we guarantee our work, and that's up to $1,500, all right? Am I throwing a sales pitch in on this? Hell yeah, I am. Does that make me a bad Charlie? I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, you got a tough job, right? So, and no matter how well you set expectations, you don't know what the person on the other side of that is really hearing and taking in.
That's a good point. Sender, receiver, medium.
Well, sure. And part of the problem that I think you have specifically in the context of an inspection is that, yeah, you do have a bunch of instruments that can take a visual inspection to another level, right? You've got a moisture meter, you've got infrared, whatever you have,
There's
got a
more
drone.
and more equipment that's coming out. Yeah,
but
a lot different than back in 1993.
Sure. But we've yet to invent, to my knowledge, something that can take your visual and penetrate a drywall. Can you see beyond the finish that's there? You can try to detect what might be going on behind it, and ascertain that, hey, we've got a cold spot here. It might be water infiltration or something of that nature, but Charlie, you've said before that there are situations where you'll shoot, say, a bathroom ceiling, and you'll get a false positive for water because it's meant to be either a bit moist, or maybe you have some condensation on the wastewater pipes coming from the bathroom just above it, or whatever it is.
Which, by the way, I just want to add is a great reason to run hot water to toilets. All right, you avoid all that condensation, and it's very comfortable. I know I'm changing the subject back to the butts, but Joey, I want to hear from you a little bit. What's your take? Do you get complaints after somebody moved into the house? What would they complain to a mortgage person about?
I mean, super relationship focused job I have, right? These people become my friends, so really, there's a lot of things. Anything that comes up with the house I hear about, right?
Which is a good thing.
No, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, hey, if anything comes up, let me know. And because if there's something that I can help fix, I want to help fix, right? Because these are actual relationships. It's not like, all right, hey, thanks for the loan. Have a good life. This is
Have a good life.
This isn't how this works. The
only time you tell someone have a good life is like at the end of a breakup or something, like, have a good life. like that's the only time, though. It's like I've never said goodbye to like a cousin, be like, hey, have a good life, guys. Like
yeah, right. It's just, oh my gosh. So, I mean, the letters that come in from, I don't know, it's not legitimate in my eyes, but the people are like, oh, here, send us $100. We'll send you a copy of your deed. First off, one, it's in your closing package, or if it's not, a copy isn't in your closing package, you're going to get the original in the mail anyway.
Yeah, in about 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. And if you really want additional copies, go to the recorder website for whatever county you bought in. It's there. It's available. Like, it's public information. That's why people even have it in the first place, is because they see a mortgage out recorded, they see your name on it, they pull the deed, and they try to get you to buy one with them.
Right. Or just shoot me an email. I mean, look, most of the time people don't need their deed anyway. But you might be led to believe by a piece of mail that looks very official that, well, maybe I should get that. You don't need it.
There's a lot of scams that exist out there. I could see that too. But Joey, in their defense, how often do people buy houses? How are they supposed to know what those rules are and so forth. And I'm glad that they had enough, I'm going to use the word trust in you to ask you about it so that you could give them these other options that come in there. And these scams are always changing.
It's frustrating.
You know?
It's true, and I mean, people don't buy houses all the time, right? It's not like you're buying a house every other week. You're buying a house a couple times in your life. You're refinancing a few times in your life. Like, people don't just know automatically, right? First time or second timers, it doesn't matter because you forget. But obviously, when those things come in, I let you know that you can burn them safely in a pit.
I say just tread. That seems like a bit more of a environmentally friendly way to deal with it.
You can tread them.
Now, Joey, one thing that I've noticed that whenever I've had a transaction personally, but also I'll get clients that email or call me about is you get a lot of mail. It's always mail, right? Like, these scams that come in the mail. Okay. There's no spam filter on my like legit snail mail box, unfortunately. Good God, the amount of paper generated by the credit card industry, they're making money. But speaking of people wanting to make you loans and collect interest on it, I see a lot of solicitations for refinancing, and right after they purchase and they've taken out the original loan. Is that something that you will tell people about to expect this to come in or whatever?
Yeah, so I don't tell them that these refinancing things are going to come in, but obviously I should, and I will start telling them. But essentially, what people are doing is they pull your information when you close, and this happens a lot with VA, and this is where the VA predatory lending rules come into play, right? Because on VA loans, you can't even refinance until you've hit a 210-day seasoning if you're going VA to VA. And what I mean by that is from the note date, 210 days after, that's the first day you can close on a refinance transaction with VA.
I see.
So they record the day that this happened, and then all of a sudden, 6-7 months after your closing, once that 210 days expires, you're getting mail from all these lenders saying, hey, you have $35,000 in equity that we can send you, blah, blah. They're trying to get you, it's essentially, it's loan churning, which is illegal, right? However, because they're waiting the 210 days, it's technically their way around it. It's just, it's such
What was
BS.
that term you used? Loan churning?
Loan churning, yeah. So it's the process of, and people do this too, and it can be used strategically, I guess. Some people, if they believe the market is going to be dropping for whatever reason, the rate market will be dropping, they will close at a higher rate taking lender credit, and then they will refinance down the road, 6-7 months down the road for a lower rate. And then as long as you received X amount of dollars in credit and only affected your payment by, let's say, $10 a month, you got $2,000 of lender credit, you have a 20-month recapture period on that, right? If you refinance inside that 6-7 month window, then you come out ahead of the game, your payment lowers, and the $2,000 was essentially free, right? The remaining $2,000 was essentially free. It's called loan churning.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it happens a lot. It does. I mean, in this market, probably not the best idea in the world, but it was happening a lot in 2020, 2021, where people were just flipping loans left and right. Refinance after 6 months, 7 months. But yeah, you'll start getting those letters 6-7 months after closing because that's when the lenders know that the waiting period for VA cash out, VA IRL has expired. So there you go.
There was a period of time where there was a particular lender that I would see quite often on some of my contracts, and I knew when I got to the closing table I was going to see a higher rate. And I was going to see a large closing cost credit. And I would say to the client, so I reckon your mortgage broker told you that in 6 months' time, we're going to refi you into a lower rate and knock this payment down. And that's how we're going to get you this, $8,000 credit or whatever it was. You see it. You see it more than once because you ask the person. Why are these people who are working with this particular lender getting a interest rate that's a point higher than what I'm seeing as the market rate? And then they go, yeah, well, this is how it works. And I go, okay, fine. And I generally want to understand if I'm having clients that are coming to me and getting rates that are higher than what I'm seeing in the market, I want to know why. Because I certainly don't want them getting. I don't want them being prey to someone who's scamming, because, I mean, I don't know. I'm meant to look after my client. So if,
and you also used the word expectations earlier. They're expecting you to protect them. I would expect you to protect me.
Yeah.
All right. I would want you to warn me of something like that, and I'm thankful. And I'm actually impressed.
It's and that's why your job is tough. My job is tough, is because
now, Joey, your job is easy, but still,
Oh my gosh, it is. Mortgages are easy. I'll say it all day. You ain't lying. It's easy.
Make them easy
because we're meant to protect people from something that might harm them in the future. That we have the expertise to try to discern. Now, there's only so much we can do. Like, I try to do every single thing possible to search every single piece of information I can get, so that the result 6 months, 3 weeks, 10 weeks, 6 months after the transaction, I'm not finding out from my client that, they're discovering that there's a $30,000 special assessment coming down the line on the condo they just bought. And it's just like, well, how did you miss that? And you go through, the first thing you do is you panic when someone comes to you with something like that. Thankfully, it only happens, on a very rare occasion. But then you look through and you go, did I miss something? And then when you can satisfy yourself that you didn't, you go, wow, this is extraordinarily unlucky. But, I'm sure there are examples that you could give where it's like, we did everything we possibly could. I'm going back to the report. We didn't miss anything. And, unfortunately, there's this $10,000 problem because, your massive AC went out 6 months after closing.
Well, I will say that there's one negative about our business that I'm looking to correct right now, and I think I got the problem recognized. We don't document when things are working properly. All right. I see home inspection reports, and they're 500 pages long, and every room has 6 pictures on it. They take a picture of the ceiling, all 4 walls, and the floor, and they find nothing wrong in there, but they got pictures of everything, of all the rooms in the report, and there might be 8 things negative. Now, we're going to have 70 things wrong, and we don't have anything in there about the good. So I'm thinking about putting body cameras on our people and starting to record our inspections and stuff, and this way at least we could show, or I'll have proof, okay, he did test all the windows. Otherwise it's he said, she said. We did stick the outlet testers in there. Here's the results. We're able to see everything that's looking forward. Patrick's got a grin on his face. Joey, should we find out what that's about?
Let's find out what that's about.
No, I was just laughing because I'm thinking to myself, if I had a body cam on during closing, just how god-awful boring it would be to rewatch that hour and a half.
This lender sucks. This lender is terrible. This lender.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than the mortgage broker actually showing up at the closing table.
Dude, I love doing it.
I got one less person
who are you
going
to talk bad about?
Yeah. Exactly. I'll find someone, don't worry.
We'll get the home inspector. They never show up.
Yeah.
Everyone's faces go blank, and they're just like, "Oh, you're here."
This guy.
Now what are we gonna do?
Well, and then but
it's gonna be a quiet hour.
Well, no. Then the flip side is if they ask any questions about the loan documents, I'm just like, Joey, can you chime in on this one, because I'm not sure I've ever seen this one before. This is interesting. I'm not. Wow, boy, you're having him sign this, huh? You explain that.
I think the last time, Joey, I'm pretty sure we went through you for this loan. And my wife is a reader, so she read. Patrick's laughing at me.
She's a nightmare person.
And I love her to death. I still do. But she wanted to read every single page on that. And they were literally getting mad at us. Pat doesn't want to hear it. He even took the headset off. But yeah, she wanted to read everything, and that meant I had to read everything.
It means I'm going for a cup of coffee because my job has been rendered useless. You want to read everything? First of all, I'm at that point. Now we're on the clock. I'm charging hourly.
It did take a little longer.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
But it was still less than 2 hours, that we were in and out of there.
It was a refi, though?
It was a refi.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
so, you weren't wasting some lawyer's time. It's just some poor notary who's just like, man, I
have 12 more of these to do in the next 3 hours.
In a nutshell, yeah, that was it, And I'm sure we were, being bad-mouthed out in the local office and that. And
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been entered into the system as watch out for these ones.
Yeah, this is a double time booker.
So
You know.
Joey, one thing I'm getting a lot of questions about these days because of where rates are, as opposed to what people got accustomed to, and I worded that very particularly because I don't like the notion that people go, well, rates are so high. It's like, you need to go take a look at the longer time.
You are trying to trigger me.
Yeah. But no, I do think there is a widely held opinion that rates will be lower at some point in time. We just aren't quite sure when. Generally speaking, what I advise people to do when they're like, well, when should I refi? And I'm like, it's not a question I can answer. But what I can tell you is that, every year or so, reach out to your mortgage broker and ask them if they can save you money, because it's a win for everyone involved. First of all, that they're going to be happy that you called, because it's repeat business and everyone loves repeat business. But also, if they can save you money, if rates have gone down or if there's some other way to do that, let's say maybe the equity's increased in your home and now they can put you into a conventional without PMI, that's also going to be a win, even if you're not knocking the interest rate down. Maybe. It all depends on how the numbers work out. But am I giving good advice, or should I just say, just hang tight until Joey gives you a call?
No, it's good advice. It's just, at the end of the day, the real answer is, when it makes financial sense, right? Because people's lives change constantly. What's going on today, is it going to be the same thing going on tomorrow? Medical things happen. Like, there's reasons that if you're able to save money, if you're able to consolidate debt, like, at the end of the day, if you're looking to save money every month, you have to look at the entire financial picture to see if your house will be a way to make you meet your financial goals, right? Even if your rate goes up, but your blended rate between all the debts that you're paying off go down, then, you end up in a better spot than you were in when you started, right? So it's, and you can't, I wouldn't say, reach out every year. You just reach out, or your mortgage person should be reaching out, because it's not like they don't know what's going on. Because, they should.
Some will, some won't.
Most won't.
Because I was going to actually argue a little bit with Joey about saying it's not such an always a good idea. Hopefully people have been listening for a while and learning a lot. There's a lot to do with the trust. And I've heard this word lazy lenders so many times, and they exist. There's too many of them out there. And if you don't trust your agent, then you shouldn't be building a relationship. And if that loan officer, and please guys, chew me up on this one if I'm off base, but if they're not reaching out to you and they're not trying to maintain a relationship with you, then why should you go back to them? And I'd rather somebody go to someone that I trust.
It's a great question. The way I see it, it goes back, we talked to DJ, your favorite guy, a couple weeks ago. One thing he said that I thought was really insightful is that, it doesn't, what you do during the transaction is fine. It's obviously important that you conduct yourself in a professional manner. But what sets a lot of the big producing real estate brokers out there apart from the people who are not producing is, what are they doing in between transactions? Are they making the effort to maintain that relationship? And what is their system? If you are a top producer, if you're closing, 50, 100 deals a year as a broker, it's going to be hard to pick up the phone and call every one of those people, once a month, once a quarter, whatever. But there are other ways, especially leveraging social media, leveraging different ways to connect with people, that is going to give you a flow of people who are coming back to you because they had a good experience. Your name, for them, your name is associated with something that was meaningful and positive in their life. And once that name falls out of their sort of top of mind, even, sort of in the middle of their mind, once it's gone, they're going to grab the person who is making the effort and is saying,
built a relationship,
is building and maintaining a relationship with them. And, that's it. That, you'll find out, they sold that house that helped them buy.
Patrick, give us your contact information if people have questions about real estate law.
Email show@thehomebuyershour.com. You can find me on Instagram, Loftus, Lof like Frank, T like Tom, US like Sam _law. And you can slide into my DMs. Same on TikTok, except there's no underscore at Loftus Law.
And my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our phone number is 312-544-9180. Again, it's 312-544-9180. Our website is thehomeinspectors.com. And our school website, because we do train home inspectors as well, is Home Inspection University of Illinois, HIUIL.com. Joey, can you give us your contact info, please?
Yes, sir. So, Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd, you can reach me at 630-235-2405. Find me at thevaloannerd.com or across all social media as at the VA Loan Nerd. I just sent you guys a screenshot of a text while we were on the radio. One of my clients texted me and said, "Hey, I know rates are crazy, but do you think if that a refi would make sense to pay off some of my debt?" I was just like, "You have got to be kidding me." Could not be better timing.
Because
but that's part of the trust.
You are maintaining that relationship, and the VA Loan Nerd is getting it done.
So
yeah, well, that's the job.
But it's also giving a lot of accurate, useful information. And speaking of which, obviously the Book of Face that I pay too much attention to has been telling me that the feds are looking to, or they're planning on increasing the rates again. How much truth is there to that?
Yeah, they're going to at least one more time before the end of the year.
At least one more time. Okay.
For sure. Granted, yesterday the JOLTS report comes in, 750K short of expectation. It has a little bit of effect on the market, but nothing like you would anticipate seeing. And on the reverse, if it came in 750K strong, we'd see the markets going crazy.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
It's job openings and long-term. I can't remember LTS, but it's a jobs report, right?
Okay.
And it came in weaker than anticipated by 750,000, right? Percentage-wise, it came in about 12% under what they expected, which is huge. 12% is a gulf, right? And if we saw a jobs report come in 750K strong, we would see such a crazy sell-off right now, your head would spin. And then we had more data come out today. Oh my gosh, let me pull it up. I was just looking at it. Now I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, sometimes when Joey talks, I realize this must be how people hear what I have to say when I'm getting deep in the weeds when I'm talking about a law thing, and it's just like, do you know what he's talking about? Nah. Do you? Nah.
Too much passion out of you, guy. Too much passion. But so the other one, ADP jobs came out today, and that came in week 2. So, we're seeing a good market reaction, but nothing like you would anticipate seeing if it came in opposite.
But it was a few months ago when it was super high, right?
Yeah, it was double. It was double expectation a few months ago, right? But month over month, jobs has been coming in lower and lower. Every single month it's coming in lower. This is the first time it's really got its butt kicked by expectation. It came in super short. But yeah, it's
what's the unemployment? I don't think there's a lot of people that are out, is there?
I haven't seen the unemployment numbers come out yet, but we'll see them soon. But yeah, it's wild. They're still going to raise rates one more time before the end of the year. They've been beating that drum for a long time. So I'm not worried about that. It's just a matter of, is it only going to be one time? That's the real question, because if they do it more than once, then that is doing more than what was expected, and then you see a major negative reaction.
Gotcha. And I know there was a time where it was, pretty strong increases over a steady period of time, and that's kind of how we got up to where we're at now, right? They didn't just give you a punch of, okay, let's go, here's 4 points. We'll go 4 interest points on you.
Yeah, that would be something. I can't imagine a scenario where that happens, but you would have to have some kind of significant. I can't imagine, except that 3 years ago we effectively had that. March 2020, they just go, whatever it is, we're hitting zero. So. It takes something of that magnitude for them not to slowly turn that ship. Because what would happen, if you're slowly turning the drain down so that you can get it down to a drip, what you don't want to have happen is that like 7 million people lose their job in a month, right? And if you increase rates by that 4, it's just because you're just like, yeah, we're going to take a hatchet to
everyone
to
else
inflation.
is grabbing hatchets too.
Well, you put that kind of hatchet to inflation. What you've done is just stuck a cattle prod on someone's nether regions, which isn't really how you want to massage the economy. If you'll allow my multiple metaphor description.
Run with it. I don't know. For some reason, I want to go on vacation to the Netherlands. I don't know why.
Yeah, why not?
Get it up on there.
What do they do in the Netherlands? I don't know.
Well, how about you,
brownies?
Patrick? Tell me about, something after somebody moves in. Give me a few different. I know you get more than one. Somebody calls in and said, well, this happened to me. How are you going to help me?
Yeah, so my typical line to someone is, look, if you got water coming in, call a plumber. If you got a problem with your electrical system, call an electrician. Whoever it is that's going to fix this problem, that's who you need to be on the phone with. Now, something that
is not good advice. I'm sorry. All right, and just recently, like I said, and I think I had her call in on the show one time, but a lady had a storm come through. Power went out, power came back on, tripped the GFI that was their water heater was plugged into. So the water heater didn't turn on. She didn't have hot water. She called a plumber. Mm-hmm. The plumber told her that the home inspector made a mistake and, now this inducer draft fan is broken and, you're going to need a new water heater at the total cost of $5,500. All right. And I'm not exaggerating that number.
No, I remember the story. Look.
I reset the GFI.
Right. Well, I mean, you have that level of expertise to do that. I mean, first of all, it's not for me to go out to their house and look at their water heater. What am I going to say about it? I'm a lawyer. I'm going to be like, well, it looks like a water heater, and you're not getting hot water, and so you should probably call someone that can look at this. If you've got some problem with a lawsuit or some other contract issue, sure, I'll look at your contract. Don't send that to your plumber. Your plumber's not going to probably know much about that. But in that instance, you called the wrong plumber, and I know which company it was, and all I can say is, in general, and I know you're going to give me examples of where this is not correct, but if you're going to call a contractor or a company, or really any company that's spending a lot of money on marketing and advertising, you are going to be paying in part for that.
Absolutely, you are.
I think the better approach is to get a recommendation. You can go on Charlie's website. He's got a whole list of recommended vendors for those sorts of things. You Google it, and you're at the mercy of Google.
But you could read other reviews and what other people had to say and how the company responded. Here's another option, Patrick. I want to offer me. You and I built up a pretty strong relationship. I think we trust each other enough. Have your clients reach out to me. I won't charge them. All right? And I make this anybody who's listening too. You got a problem. You want to talk about something. Reach out to me, 312-544-9180, option 3. That'll come straight to my cell phone. And then I'll talk you through it and whatever it takes to repair it. If I could do it over the phone, there's no charge. Now, don't get me wrong, Patrick. If I got to send somebody out there, we're going to charge to send somebody out there. But most of my time is done working with, either past clients, future clients, whatever. It's on the phone right now, just helping people solve problems. I'm sorry. I wanted to hear more about complaints from you.
Yeah.
But that was like, I don't always trust all the contractors. I just don't.
Well, I mean, look, it's a difficult situation for consumers out there when there are contractors that are trying to sell you something you don't need. And I don't know that I can necessarily protect someone from that kind of situation. But I guess my point was you need to get the problem fixed, number one. If you've got a sewer backup, if we call the seller and ask them to send a plumber out, they're just gonna we're not gonna get a plumber. Whatever the problem is, so get it fixed, document it. Now, one thing you and I talked about is whoever comes out to look at it, they're going to badmouth either you, the inspector, they're going to badmouth the seller, they're going to badmouth me, the agent. Somebody's getting badmouthed, okay? Every single time. Someone calls me up, they go, yep, I got water in my basement, and the person came out and they said, the seller definitely knew about this. Yeah. You know what? You know what happens? I call that person up. I don't even bother with this anymore because what I found out is, really, that's what they said? Well, hold up. Let me call them up. And then you go, hey, I represent blah, 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 and I understand you came out and, you expressed an opinion to them that the seller definitely knew about this. Can you elaborate on that? And they go, oh, well, no, it's not really what I said. And all of a sudden they're equivocating, and it's like, oh, okay. So,
we actually have a form that they have to fill out and cite what we were supposed to do when they go, you should have done.
That's who needs a body cam is anyone who is bringing a contractor out to their home so that they can get a clear and accurate description, to see exactly what that person said, because they say one thing to the consumer and they say another thing as soon as they get the lawyer on the phone. There is that's not exactly what I said. It's like, that's interesting, because they heard something else, or the inspector should have caught it, which I'm sure you get a ton. People, as soon as they hear that, they're going to absolutely flame you over the phone and be like, the guy came out and they said, probably happened with this example that you gave earlier, is that the person called you up and they go, I can't believe you missed this. You're costing me $8-9 grand for a water heater, which is not what a water heater should cost.
She was very upset with me.
Yeah, and then you come out and in that specific instance, you were able to have that moment where you go, well, actually, and you made him look like a fool. Most of the time, we don't get that opportunity to clap back and make that person, to get them and basically serve them their words back. I mean,
we need hot water to live. We need to take warm showers. That's not true. I watched 10 seasons now of The Walking Dead, and they did not get many hot showers. I could tell you that much.
No, and there's people out there. You'll get what's his face, the big tall goofy man. But he does his cold plunge the big tall goofy man. What the heck is his name? He's he's just one of these guru guys, and he has people walk on coals and all that. But there's a Netflix about him. I'm Not Your Guru. My goodness gracious!
Geez.
I'm on this. I put myself on the spot, and I've really let myself
I'll give
down.
everybody who's listening a good you should have. All right, if you ever want to blame anybody for anything, you just say you're going to blame Charlie's firehouse friend, Lenny the nerd.
Oh, yeah.
All right. He's responsible for everything. All
Seriously.
right. And he's over here commenting on our Facebook feed right now. So I got to give him a little bit of a razzing in that.
Lenny, you done did it.
Yep. Now you're on the target. So he's giggling right now.
Hey, Lenny, do me a favor and Google I'm Not Your Guru, and then put it in the comments, because it's just on the tip of my tongue.
We want to find out who it is.
What the heck is this guy's name?
And I did side rail you a little bit, so you get inspection complaints.
Hey, you know what? For you to sidetrack me is basically giving me what I deserve, because that is my favorite thing to do, is to take this thing way off the rails.
I know. And trying to bring it back
it's like,
on.
Look, fix it. Take everything, the person who comes out to fix it, or even just give you an idea of what the problem is and whose fault it was, give that a grain of salt, because what you're going to do is you're going to document everything. Everyone's got a camera in their pocket. Take pictures, video it. Whatever opinion this person is expressing as to whose fault this was, get them to put it in the report, on the invoice. Let's get it in writing. Before you're willing to shift the blame somewhere, I need it in writing. Otherwise, it's worthless. It's just you trying to sell someone something, and I'm not having it. At the end, we're going to tally that up, and then we're going to figure out if it's worth it to pursue a remedy against the seller. Now, yes, I am kicking the can down the road in a manner of speaking, but most of the time, once that's all done, they get to a point where they go, look, this was only a few $100 or a few $1,000, and I'm not in that triggered state of mind anymore, and I've kind of absorbed the fact that I'm a homeowner, and there are some things associated with home ownership that, there's the pluses and the minuses, and this is one of the minuses.
That sounds fair. No, I can get into that real quick. What about other things with financials? Do you get complaints on those too?
Not necessarily. Most of that. Did you hear the?
I heard a sigh in there. It's like, what the hell is Charlie trying to do?
I wish one of these days we got to get some sort of camera set up for Joey so that I can see him. I want to see him just go like,
hey, I have a live camera. I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. We need to set that up. Charlie,
I'll work on it like there's no tomorrow.
Do you know someone? Because I'm not doing it.
I got a guy. We'll do the old Chicago thing that comes in here. I got a guy.
Hey, I got a guy for that.
No, exactly. But, going back to, let's pull out the home inspection stuff again. I mean, in all reality, how much liability, let's say it's almost fraud. Somebody is just overlooking stuff. And we had a home inspector here, I think Pam Zeckman, she went after this person, and I think I was helping a little bit. He ended up getting sued 9 times in 7 years. All right?
It's not a good track record.
He has not lost one of them. He won every single one of them.
No. I'm sure I know why.
Share with me then. I'd love to hear from you first.
Yeah, so, and this was something, Charlie, you and I got into when I sat down with the group of inspectors a few months ago. And really, it deals with having the right provisions in your, I don't know what you guys call it, contract,
agreement,
whatever it is. It is permissible for a home inspector to limit their liability. And typically what they do, it's in Illinois at least, and typically what they do is they put a provision in there that says my liability is limited to the amount that you paid for the inspection, and basically, and I think fairly enough, because you would see inspectors probably have that kind of track record if they weren't able to put such a thing in their agreement. Because I mean, you look at the example that your colleague had up in Wisconsin, where they're not allowed to do that, and he was dragged over the coals so much so that he ceased operations in Wisconsin because it was too expensive to operate up there. I don't think, and it really goes back to what we discussed earlier about the limitations that you have, and it's often not going to really be it's not going to equal the expectations that a buyer has. I think many buyers, regardless of what you say and how well you set expectations, they're going to assume, and unfairly, that you are going to catch everything.
I wholeheartedly believe exactly and 100% exactly what you say. And that's why I think we should try to get 100% of what exists in there. I know it doesn't happen.
You certainly try, but it's just not possible. You hold yourself to a high standard. You'll get no disagreement from me about holding yourself to a high standard. I hold myself to a high standard. I know you hold yourself to a high standard, and you hold all your people to a high standard.
Very much
but
so.
A high standard is not perfection. Perfection is if your goal is to be perfect, you will not ever reach that goal.
Nope.
And it will be a frustration in your life until you're no longer here on the planet. And no one should live in that place. It's sort of that Steve Jobs kind of it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I need you to work 18-hour days. And I'm grateful that I have an iPhone because of it. But man, Elon Musk is another one who just nothing was good enough for the Tesla until it was. And fair enough. He's built himself into a successful business person, and it ends at that. Now he fancies himself a cage fighter. He's gonna get his butt kicked by Zuck, and man, that is embarrassing.
Man, I'm out of the news circle. I need to see more of that. That I would actually pay for.
Yeah. There's this thing that and both.
I think it would be a slap fight, though.
No. Listen, Mark Zuckerberg actually is he's an avid jiu-jitsu practitioner. At least that's the
cool.
the scuttlebutt about it. And evidently Elon Musk also is is some sort of martial artist.
They know Zombieland's coming.
Hey, I've done some martial arts training. I think anyone would be improved just in their general confidence in the world by having some martial arts training. That's just has nothing to do with real estate, but I recommend it to anyone. My wife does jiu-jitsu and she loves it.
Cool. And we are running short on time, and I do got one question I want to get a definition of, and I know I could Google it, but I want to hear from you. What does case law mean?
What does case law mean?
Yeah, how does something become case law?
Right. So
and what does that mean to me?
You just flashed the 3-minute sign, and then you asked me a 15-minute question.
Oh, I'm sorry. We could do it next week.
All right. Here's the nutshell version of it. Our legal system is basically goes back to the English legal system because we were once a colony of England. In England, law is made through judicial decisions. So as each case is decided, there's a written decision, and that decision becomes precedent. And so basically that becomes what the law is. And so if you're trying to make an argument going forward, you go to previous cases and you say this case is similar to this one. This is what the judges decided in that case. Thus, you should decide in my case. And then you create more case law. And so what is case law? Case law is basically these things, these decisions handed down by judges where there are holdings, which is basically a statement of this is what the law is, and this is why we're making that decision, and that going forward becomes additional case law.
Outstanding. And Patrick, we are running out of time. Thank you. And I want to go into this more.
Man, you asked
so
me
I am going to bring this
so
up
hard.
again. I'm so sorry about that. But how do people get hold of you, Patrick, if they have further questions on this?
Show at thehomebuyer'shour.com, on Instagram on Instagram Loftus_law, on TikTok at LoftusLaw.
And Joey, can you give us some contact info?
Sure, you can call or text me at 630-235-2405. Find me at thevaloannerd.com. If you want to, feel free to email me at show@thehomebuyer'shour.com or at my website, thevaloannerd.com.
And Joey takes calls 24/7, so even at 2 in the morning, you could always give him a phone call. Don't ever be afraid.
Yes, you can.
Now, that doesn't work for me, all right? I'm going to be sleeping, and I sleep through all those phone
That's
calls.
why I don't even give out my phone number.
No
don't
way.
you do it.
So my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our phone number is 312-544-9180. And the reason why I asked about that case law and what that meant is because there's 3 case laws that protect home inspectors. And the judges basically said that clients can go ahead and purchase or hire an electrician. They could hire a plumber. They could hire a roofer, a framer, a concrete guy, insulator, drywall. That's going to cost them thousands and thousands of dollars to hire all these professionals to tell them about the condition of that. And those are experts in each one. Home inspectors are not experts. And I'm ashamed to say that we're kind of weak. But I do want to stretch this out and talk a little bit more about it. I also want to give a thank you to Henry. He took Devin's place today as our producer. And again, my name is Charlie, and I am out.